Aha, this'll do. Sleeping bag, sleeping mat. And chair. Sorted. As you can see, I'm doing this from a rickety old garden shed. I'm kind of glad that it's not windy, because otherwise I'd be a little worried that the shed wouldn't survive even while I'm doing this quick reflection. Now, as some of you will probably know, Joshua had a high temperature over the weekend. In the normal course, we wouldn't be the slightest bit bothered about that, beyond thinking, okay, it's another of those childhood bugs. But of course, in the light of COVID-19, we felt we had to dial 111, and we were immediately told that we would have to do a 2-week lockdown. Now, Joshua himself, it really does appear to be a tummy bug, nothing more serious than that. But we're still obligated to spend these couple of weeks in lockdown. When Jen and I first realised this, we were so frustrated. We thought, you know, we can't even go for our daily exercise. That's really frustrating. But then, as we calmed down and thought about it, we realised, do you know what? We're so lucky to be living in this amazing area. We have a large garden that we can enjoy. The weather is amazing. There are many worse situations to be in. We could, for example, be in a cramped London flat where the hot weather would actually be oppressive rather than being really good. And there would be no kind of garden for Joshua or anybody else to be able to run around in. It could be far worse. You know, it's only in recent times that vicars have enjoyed the kind of vicarage and garden that I'm sitting in right now. It wasn't always this way. Some time ago, a young man who was well off, but a very devout Christian, heard the passage of scripture that said this: if you want to be perfect, go sell your possessions, give to the poor, and then come and follow me. This guy was St. Anthony, or became St. Anthony of the desert, and he spent the rest of his life, the next 80 years, in lonely desert cells, doing spiritual battle. Now, you may think that this kind of thing is a self-centered pursuit. It's really not. The understanding of Anthony and those who came after him was, in order to be able to love people better, it was essential to do spiritual battle first of all. And that was the essence of what Anthony and his later followers actually did. As an example, 20 years later, a crowd of people came to his desert cell. They battered on the door, bashed it down, and demanded some time from Anthony. He spent some time with them, he taught them, but more importantly, he healed them as well. Those who needed healing, he healed. All that spiritual battle had enabled him to be Christ-like in quite an astonishing way. This call to the desert reached these isles as well. Okay, Britain doesn't do hot deserts, but what it does do is lonely, windswept outcrops in the ocean. And it's a call that led St Cuthbert to the Inner Farne Islands, led Irish monks to the Skelligs off the southwest coast of Ireland, and led other lesser known saints to the remoter parts of the Scilly Isles. These are all people who heard the same call of the Desert Fathers, and they too felt that their call was to become holier and more sanctified by going into remote places and doing spiritual battle there. these kind of places, whether they're desert cells that Anthony and his followers went to, or rocky outcrops, make this rickety wooden shed look palatial. In the Western Church, there is a kind of emphasis on a bless me spirituality. It's something that I think is present right throughout the Western Church. And you know what? It leads to a lot of Christians being disappointed in God, that God hasn't delivered in the way that they thought that he should do. The reality is, this is not something the Desert Fathers would have recognised. They would not have seen God's job as being to bless us in any kind of material way. They'd fled all the earthly possessions they had to seek loneliness and remoteness and isolation. They realised that the calling to follow Christ was not about being blessed, but actually becoming much more Christ-like. And I just wonder whether it is a call that we in the Western Church need to hear afresh and to realise it's relevant to us as well. If we grasp this part of their teaching, maybe we'd stop being disappointed that God hasn't blessed us in the way that we think that he might do. Now, in a moment, I'm going to leave this wooden shed, and I'm probably going to fix myself a coffee and return to the normal parts of my job. But I hope that as I leave here, I don't forget this call of the desert. And I hope that when you listen to this, you'll realise that this call is there for us as well. Not to seek God's blessing in a material way, but to realise our call is to become holier and more Christ-like in all that we do. Whatever our circumstances, whether confined, locked down or back in normal life, that's a call that is relevant to us in whatever situation we find ourselves in.